Black Friday isn't about saving money. It's not about opportunities. It's a $9.12 billion psychological trap designed to turn your credit card into invisible chains. If you think you're saving 50%, you've already lost the game. In 2023, 43% of Americans who shopped on Black Friday ended the year more in debt than they started. That's no accident. It's by design. Black Friday generates $240 billion in global annual sales. But here's the number no one tells you. $68 billion of that is bought with money people don't have. Revolving credit, compound interest, perpetual debt. The biggest shopping day of the year isn't about products. It's about mind programming tested by 60 years of applied behavioral psychology. To understand how you're being manipulated, we need to go back to 1869, because this story doesn't start with discounts. It starts with blood.
September 24th, 1869, Wall Street. Jay Gould and James Fisk attempt to monopolize the U.S. gold market. President Ulysses Grant releases $4 million in gold from the Treasury. The market collapses within minutes. That day became known as Black Friday. It had nothing to do with discounts. It was about market manipulation, about wealthy men using insider information to destroy small investors, about creating panic to profit from despair. The term Black Friday meant financial disaster, ruin, families losing everything. Fast forward to the 1950s, Philadelphia. The day after Thanksgiving was absolute chaos. Crowds, traffic, massive shoplifting. Philadelphia police began calling it Black Friday, a hellish day of work. Retailers hated the term. It was negative, toxic for sales. Then came the most brilliant trick in marketing history.
In 1961, someone had an idea. What if we rewrote history? They created a new narrative. Black Friday is the day retailers go from red to black in their accounting books. Profit, success, opportunity. It was a lie. Real accounting didn't work like that. But the story was too good to fact-check. By the 1980s, the media had bought into the narrative. Newspapers, TV, magazines, all repeating the same fabricated story. Black Friday transformed from disaster into celebration. By around 2005, the term was fully rewritten in the public consciousness. No one remembered the panic of 1869. No one questioned the origin. And here's the real genius. They turned a one-day event into an entire season. Black Friday became Black Week, then Black November. Now, Black Friday deals start in October. The expansion wasn't accidental. It was tested, optimized, engineered.
Here's how the modern machine works. First, price inflation. 2 months before Black Friday, retailers raise prices by 20% to 40%. In November, they apply 50% discounts. You're paying the regular price, sometimes even more. 2022 studies showed that 92% of Black Friday products were available at the same price or cheaper at other times of the year. Second, artificial scarcity psychology. Last units, offer valid until midnight, limited stock. None of it is real. Algorithms calculate exactly how many products to produce to create the illusion of scarcity without losing sales. Amazon, Walmart, Target, they all use the same playbook. Third, price anchoring. You see $999, $1,999.
Your brain compares it to the crossed-out price, not the actual value. Behavioral economists call this the anchoring effect. It works 100% of the time. Fourth, the limited time trick. Artificial urgency shuts down rational thinking. When you have just 2 hours to decide, your prefrontal cortex switches off. You buy out of fear of missing out, not out of need. Neuroscience studies show that artificial urgency activates the same brain areas as drug addiction. Fifth, debt gamification. 12 interest-free payments sounds free, but you're committing 12 months of future income for something you'll use for 6 weeks. And if you miss a payment, interest rates from 15% to 300% per year kick in retroactively.
In 2023, the average American entered 2024 with $1,200 in holiday shopping debt. It took 7 months to pay off, with interest. Who controls this game? 3 groups: retail chains, payment processors, and financial institutions. Every sale generates 3 profits: product markup, a 2 to 3% processing fee, and 15 to 25% interest on revolving credit. A $500 Black Friday purchase generates an average of $625 in total revenue when including interest paid over the next 6 months. The most profitable product isn't what you buy, it's the debt you carry. And here's the inevitable consequence: perpetual debt. The average American carries $6,194 in credit card debt. 1/3 of that, $2,064, came from holiday purchases that seemed like good deals at the time. At an average 18% interest rate, that $2,064 debt costs $372 a year in interest alone. If you only pay the minimum, it will take 14 years to pay off. You'll pay $5,208 in interest on an original $2,064. You didn't buy products. You bought financial slavery in installments.
This has happened before, multiple times. In 2008, the subprime crisis. Before the collapse, people were financing homes they couldn't afford because they seemed like good deals. Low initial interest rates, payments that looked manageable. When rates adjusted, $8 trillion in home value vanished. 10 million Americans lost their homes. The mechanism? Identical to Black Friday. Urgency. Buy now before prices go up. Artificial scarcity. Everyone's buying. And debt disguised as opportunity. Banks made $100 billion in fees before the collapse. Who lost? The families who saved money by buying homes with easy credit. In 1999, the dot-com bubble. People bought shares in companies with no revenue because you can't miss this opportunity. Institutionalized FOMO. When it burst, $5 trillion in market value disappeared. Retirements destroyed. Life savings wiped out. The pattern? Create urgency, trigger fear of missing out, and normalize debt and speculation. Sound familiar? It should.
But the scariest connection is this: the 1920s, pre-Depression America. Buy now, pay later became mainstream for the first time. Department stores offered generous credit. People bought refrigerators, radios, cars, all on installments. By 1929, 60% of American families held consumer debt. When the market crashed in October 1929, those families had no safety net. Debt plus unemployment plus deflation equals the Great Depression. 13 million Americans unemployed, banks collapsing, mass suicides. The trick was the same: turn consumption into identity. Make debt look like progress. Normalize living beyond your means. And here's the bridge to today. In 2024, American credit card debt hit $1.13 trillion, an all-time record, higher than at any point in history, including 2008. 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. A third don't have $400 for an emergency. And still, every November, we spend $240 billion on deals we can't afford. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Here's the full trap. Black Friday isn't about products. It's about behavioral programming. You're not buying a TV. You're being conditioned to associate consumption with happiness, urgency with opportunity, and debt with progress. Every 50% off, today only notification is reinforcing neural pathways. Every impulse purchase is training your brain to seek instant gratification through spending. Behavioral economists have a term for this: consumption conditioning. Even when you know it's manipulation, you can't resist because the system has been optimized over 60 years to hack exactly that. And here's the true horror. It works on a global scale. In 2023, global Black Friday sales hit $282 billion. China, $139 billion, Singles Day. Brazil, $5.9 billion. Europe, $32 billion.
The American model of turning consumption into identity and debt into normalcy has been exported worldwide. 1.2 billion people bought something during Black Friday 2023. 68% used credit. 43% ended up more in debt. This isn't commerce, it's psychological colonization. And the scale is accelerating. In 2020, Black Friday was a single day. By 2024, it's an entire month, Black November. Some brands start promotions in October. The goal isn't to sell more products, it's to normalize a permanent state of urgent consumption. You're being trained to live in constant FOMO mode.
But you're not powerless. First, understand the game. Black Friday is theater. The discounts are fabricated. The urgency is fake. Knowing this disables 70% of the manipulation. Second, the 48-hour rule. If you want something on Black Friday, wait 48 hours before buying. If you still want it after the adrenaline fades, buy it. 90% of impulse purchases disappear in 2 days. Third, only buy with money you have. There's no such thing as free 12-month installments. If you can't pay in full today, you can't afford it, period. Fourth, ask yourself, was I looking for this product yesterday? If the answer is no, you don't need it today. You're reacting to manipulation, not a real need. Fifth, knowledge is the only real weapon. Share this. The more people understand the system, the less power it has. Because here's the final truth. They rely on your ignorance. The entire system collapses if people stop confusing debt with opportunity. If they stop reacting to artificial urgency. If they stop believing consumption is identity. Knowledge doesn't pay interest. Knowledge destroys the interest you pay.
If this gave you a new perspective on how the game really works, click subscribe. Because knowledge is the only currency inflation can't destroy. And understanding is the only investment that always pays dividends.